Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David.
How you doing?
All right.
Alrighty, let's get at it. Tonight we are doing the Darnell Nurse, Keep, Hold, or Fold. And in this podcast series, we're looking at each Oilers player and determining what we think the Oilers should do with him. Should they keep him? Should they hold him for now and maybe think about moving him, or should they fold and trade or get rid of this player? And so, Bruce, we'll stick with our one good thing, one bad thing, and one number assessment model for Darnell Nurse, our scientific evaluation schemata. What is your good thing about Darnell Nurse?
Well, the good thing is that we're now 4 years into his NHL career, and I don't think we've yet seen the ceiling of this player. He keeps improving year over year. It's measurable improvement in some aspects of the game in terms of his, for instance, scoring. He's gone from just 0.3 points per 60 in his first year to 0.8 to 0.93 to 1.04 this year. Anything over 1, even strength point per 60, is pretty decent production for a D-man. But I think we're seeing just an evolving maturity in his all-around game. And it's still a work in progress. And it's, he still makes mistakes. And I think some people get tired of seeing some of those mistakes, but I do think they're starting to get lesser. Other than there was a stage in the middle of the season when Oscar Klefbom got hurt where he was playing 28 or 29 minutes a night. And he was definitely playing too much and probably trying to do too much, given the situation of the team. And I thought he settled down pretty nicely down the stretch of this season.
Yeah, I had him in the last segment of the season as the best Oilers defenseman in that time period. Bruce, I don't like my only thing is I don't know that he improved this past year, because heading into this year I was like total 18 thumbs up on Darnell Nurse as an Oilers fan. This year I don't know. I just thought he like all those players, he struggled against top pairing defenders, and kind of got taken to the woodshed again and again and again in that role defensively. But in terms of what I like about the player, I'm just going to go back to just why I've been so bullish on him all along. His toolkit, and he's great with the puck on a stick. He has a great shot now and then when he unleashes it. He's a fast skater. He's a big guy. He stands up for his teammates. And then everyone forgets we're a little bit away from the 24-15 Oilers that used to get run over, bossed, run their show. Remember that phrase? We always heard it.
Yeah, I sure do remember. I remember writing that phrase more than once.
Craig McTavish got sick of that and drafted players that
he wasn't the only one.
Put an end to it. Darnell Nurse and Leon Draisaitl. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that Craig McTavish did wrong, and he's now coaching in Russia. But man, those two picks, they were so solid for the Edmonton Oilers, and he had it right, and he nailed both of those picks. He got it right with both of those guys coming to the Oilers. They're exactly what the team needed. And Nurse is, I think, part of the core, 3 or 4 players on the team, and he's a leader on the team. You get the sense of that, and a huge player for the Oilers. And although I was again disappointed with his defensive play, because I'm hoping my hopes are maybe too high. I was asking too much, but and I was also a little disappointed with his puck moving. I didn't see that progress necessarily this year, even as the points total seemed to progress. I'm still overall a big fan of the player and bullish on him. So, big Darnell Nurse fan. Your bad thing, Bruce?
Well, it's just more to do with the length of time that it's taken for that game to come together. Even though 4 years and he's still only 24 years old, there are times where he gets beat and you say, "Man, I've seen that mistake before," and it's still there. He gets sucked out of position and the guy beats him to the back door, or he gets caught too high in the zone, doesn't take the man in front of the net. And oftentimes, it's one of those things that, it might be a team error where several people have done something wrong and he's overcommitted. And that's been one of the things that's happened, and the puck winds up in the net. And in yours and my business, you wound up pointing fingers, especially when you're tracking scoring chances.
Yeah.
On an individual basis, you wind up doing that.
You point 30 or 40 fingers a night.
Yeah. So I guess, it's a mild complaint in that he has not emerged as a superstar, which if he's going to be a superstar, I suspect we would know it by now. And you look at the raw tools and you say, well, what's holding him back? He's big, he's fast, he can skate. He's got the 4-dimensional skating. He's got the, he plays with ferocity. There's a lot going on with this player. And yet you still say, well, when are all those pieces really going to come together and be closer to a dominant player than what we've gotten to this point?
I want him to be a Bill White who can hit. Mandatory 1970 sports reference. And remember,
I love Bill White. He was a great player.
Bruce, in the 1972 series against Russia, Bill White was a stalwart, absolute stalwart for Team Canada.
Or number 17, a different number for him, but he was
here's a good
standout.
Maybe, and they're kind of similar players, I think, like kind of bigger guys, skaters, and took Bill White a long time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he was close to 30 when he suddenly emerged as like a top-level guy with the right partner. Once he got with the right partner, he was gold. Whitey Stapleton in his case.
Yeah, and who has I guess he has the game-winning puck, or had it, and he won't give it up or something. The series-winning puck.
Whereas Darnell Nurse, he's not playing with Pat Stapleton. He's
I was going to say that Chris Russell, that partnership just, I didn't like it at all. Neither of those guys, they sunk each other because neither of them is an elite or even both of them were average at best puck movers. And man, that did not come close to working. And Larson Nurse didn't work. And like, he's got to be with a better puck mover. Maybe that's going to be Evan Bouchard.
Maybe.
Caleb Jones.
Maybe.
We'll see. Of course, one of them would have to move to the right side, but if that
in that pairing, so
probably
Jones.
I guess that like last year, Nurse has been invited to the World Championship team 2 years running, and last year when I watched him, man, I just thought I'd been really bullish on him up to that moment, but I thought in the World Championships he looked bad last time. He seemed kind of at a loss on that big ice what to do with the puck, and he was giving it away constantly, and it was like one of the first times I had a major question mark about Darnell Nurse. But I understand you've watched him a little bit in this World Championships, and he's
looking good. He's looking good. There was one key game that they played where they lost 2 defensemen early in the game. So they started with 7, and you know how it goes with 7. They try and spot the third guy in, and the highest guy plays 18 or 19 minutes. Well, they lost 2 guys in this game, and Darnell wound up playing 25 minutes, and he was the leader on the team by 4 or 5 minutes. And this was against, there's some pretty solid players on that Team Canada. They got Thomas Chabot, who's the only guy who's got more points than Nurse, but they got a bunch of kind of peers. Shea Theodore is a defender on that team. Anyway, he emerged in that game as the coach's go-to choice, and he was playing some tough minutes down the stretch as they were. This was against Slovakia in the very, very exciting 6-5 Canada win in the last second of regulation. And other than not playing on the power play, but on that team, unlike the Oilers, they actually have some options of guys that can put out or a natural power play defenseman, Thomas Chabot being foremost among them. And so he's just down the pecking order there, where he might be the 4th option. And of course, most power plays only use 1 D-man. But he's a regular penalty killer, and he's playing a regular shift and looking pretty solid to my eyes.
So my bad thing, Bruce, is his contract. And it's not like it's a bad thing this year or next year. 3.2 million.
Yeah.
But Bruce, I was really, really hoping last summer that they would sign him long term. And anything that didn't start with a 5 was good in my books at that time. I just thought they needed to sign him to a Clefbaum contract. last summer. Nail that guy down for 6-7 years at 4.9 million, 4.8 million, 4.7 million. And I don't know, like maybe the Nurse camp didn't want that.
Right.
Or maybe the Oilers didn't offer it. But whatever the case.
They were in tight against the cap, right? Because they already had the McDavid contract kicking in. And so they wound up with these where they didn't have a huge amount of room to pay Nurse, really approaching 5. And it certainly would have taken close to that, like you say, 4.9 maybe. But
I think they would have had to not sign Toby Reeder, which is
but I don't think
to say now.
I don't think the new contract's going to start with a 5 either. Sorry to say.
Well, this is the problem.
Yep.
Like this, who was it you were just telling? Like who signed that? Oh,
Essa Lindell
just signed that.
6 years, 35 million.
Yeah, and 5.8 million per, I guess, cap hit, and that's what I think we're looking at. And my problem is this: that it could be that Darnell Nurse has his biggest offensive year this year before Evan Bouchard or Sam Marukov or Joel Persson or someone else comes in and takes over the power play. And he could, let's say he puts up 45 or 50 points this year. And he could really get a big contract. But then other more proficient power play guy could come in and start to take those points. Like it's not like I think he got about 10 power play points this past year, 9 or 10. So it wasn't like he got a ton of power play points. Let me just check that.
Yeah, I think he only had like 5 or 6 because he had 35 points. No, hang on. No, I think you're right. He had 31 points at even strength and 41 altogether.
So he had 10 power play points. So, 31-point defenseman's worth a lot different than a 41-point defenseman. So if he does play the power play and he gets a lot of points, like you don't want, if he's earning of the power play time, if he's deserving of, if he is their best power player, it's not like Oscar Klefbom or Andrei Sekharov. Or not the P patch, but there's if they were worried about the cap, they'd be playing Klefbom over Nurse on the power play.
Well, they did this year until Klefbom got hurt, and then Nurse got his chance.
Decision. Maybe. So what I'm hoping is that Joel Persson or Bouchard will make the team on the third pairing and run their power play.
Right.
And both of them would probably be better power players. I mean, I think Evan Bouchard would be a better power player next year. I have no doubt Evan Bouchard would be at a better power play quarterback next year than any of those guys. At even strength, I don't know how Evan Bouchard would do. But running the power play, I have no doubt he would be a better option than either of those guys. So maybe we'll see him at some point. Or maybe Persson, who's 25, will just step right in and run that power play from the third pairing, which would also be good. But I'm really worried that it is going to be something in the 6s, and that's a lot of money for a guy who might not be in your top pairing going forward. Okay. What's your number?
Well, I'm going to go with the 41 points and also the 31 even strength points, which ranked 18th, actually tied for 17th in the NHL this year among defensemen. So that's very close to middle of the pack for your top scoring defenseman. You want to have your top guy in the top 15 in the league. You don't just want to be in the top 30. You want to be in the top half of the top 30. He was very close to that. He was 10th in total ice time behind Essa Lindell among a couple other guys, but he played in all situations, and he delivered the goods. He was top 30 in points, 41 points on the season. He was the first Oiler defenseman in 10 years to hit 40 points. So when I hear people say that he's got no offense, or he's got bad offensive instincts, or he's got a lousy shot, and I look at those point totals and he must be doing something right. And maybe he just was lucky this year, and he did get a few cheap points. I do recall that there was a few nights where he got some second assists that were not much to do with it, but.
Yeah, my good thing is that we're barking at the same cat here, because I have Nurse. My good thing is so in the last 3 years, if you look at his even strength scoring, out of 286 D-men in the NHL who have played at least 500 minutes, Bruce, Darnell Nurse ranks 57th. That's really good.
That's even strength.
Top, That's even strength. That's your top pairing over 3 years.
That's top pairing. You're right.
So this isn't like a pie in this. This isn't like a flash in the pan thing. Pie in the sky. I got my metaphors mixed up, but he's done it over 3 years. And the guy
gotten better each one. Like I said, 0.8, 0.9, 1.0, and just inching up north.
That's right. And he can rush the puck. He can shoot the puck. He can make a play now and then in the offensive end. And clearly he's got some offensive game. Like he's, other players in his range include Ivan Provorov, Keith Yandel, Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, Nick Leddy, Jeff Petrie, TJ Brody, Eric Johnson, Ryan Sutter. So Bruce, like people who don't think he doesn't have an offense, if someone actually says that, I mean, someone was suggesting they should, to dump the Lucic contract, they might want to throw Nurse in as the sweetener. I mean, how much do people hate? Is there like some faction that hates Darnell Nurse that much that they think that's on any universe makes sense? Like that is just
I don't understand it. I mean, he's a prototypical stud defenseman, in that he does it all. Like he led the Oilers defense this year in goals, assists, points, time on ice. He was I think second behind Larson in hits and second behind Russell in block shots, which, I mean, those are the specialties of those two guys. But Nurse has just got this sort of really broad game that he brings. And he's got his teammates back, which is something fans and management were crying for years. And I think that has value. I mean, call me 20th century man, but guess what? I was born in the 20th century. And I think guys having their teammates back is absolutely essential and has been every year I've watched hockey.
Oh yeah, it is huge. And even coaching minor hockey. Like I've coached some boys teams that have had big guys, like really big tough guys. And teams that don't have those guys. It makes a huge difference. It's just astonishing. The difference in a team that has that big guy that everyone feels like they can rely on, and it scares the other team, scares them a little bit, even scares the other team. It just is huge. So, and we see it with our own eyes watching hockey. We see the impact that players like Messier and Chris Pronger have had on teams in Edmonton. You don't see it, you're blind. That's what I say. If you don't see it, you're blind. You're blind. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Darnell Nurse. Oh, my number I gave it already. Okay. Darnell Nurse. Keep, hold, or fold.
Keep. And that's with a bullet as far as I'm concerned. I mean, for all that you're worried about his contract, and it's valid, this year coming up, he's making $3.2 million, which is what he made last year, the fifth highest salary on the team. And that's for basically finishing first across the board in every stat on the defense. And so this year, at least, that's going to be a bargain contract for him. You reevaluate at the end of next year, but to me, he's a core player. I see him as being part of the very central group of this team, warts and all. Like none of them are going to be perfect. None of them. And we have a tendency, I think, to focus in on guys' mistakes and repetitive errors, and we get tired of them. Let's move this guy on. That guy over in whatever city, he looks like nice. We should bring him in here. And sometimes, it's what you already got. That especially when he's trending upward, 24-year-old defenseman. I mean, can you imagine? We were saying, we should go out and get some defenseman on some other team. He's 24 years old, and he led them in all their scoring departments, and he's tough, and he's got his teammates back, and he can skate like the wind. They'd be nuts to give that guy up. But hey, we got that guy, but maybe we should be trading him for. Sorry, I'm not buying. And I've become more bullish every year on Darnell. And
oh, that's good. I'm glad you feel that way. I'm a little down because I did think he wilted. He just disappointed me defensively, Bruce. I just thought he was going to be better, and he was just not strong. too often against tough competition. He just didn't get it done. And maybe I'm asking him too much at that point of his career. But I agree with you. It would be absolute insanity to get rid of him at this point because, they do have all these young, promising defensemen coming up. Bouchard, Samorukov, Caleb Jones. But the worst thing in the world, Bruce, is going to be if they're then thrown to the wolves. If they get Justin Schultz and thrown to the wolves against tough competition, right? They're put into that. So someone's got to play that spot until they get here. And Darnell Nurse is a pretty good pick. He's durable and he's got all the attributes that we've talked about. And Bruce, if his defensive game does improve, and it could well, he will, and he could be still a top pairing D man. And I kind of have more hope of that from him now than any other defenseman on the team with the right partner, with the right puck moving partner. He could be that guy, Darian Hatcher to Zubov guy. And, in the modern game, because he's the modern version kind of Darian Hatcher.
Well, he can skate.
He can skate, right? So, if he takes that next step, I won't mind him get paid what he's going to probably get paid. So I want to see him improve defensively with those defensive reads. I think it's going to happen. And I just you'd hate to see Caleb Jones or Bouchard or Samorukov, come up this year or next year and suddenly you're going to be in the top 4, like happened to Caleb Jones this past season.
Yeah, and his game went due south after that.
And this is why you keep Andre Sekera around, and Chris Russell maybe as well, possibly. You just need lots of options for your top 4. The more, the better on defense. So,
well, Nurse is now established top 4, and
yes.
In fact, you could make the case that he's top pairing in terms of when you look at the numbers. But I'm comfortable saying he's a top 4 NHL caliber top 4 defenseman. It's still on the rise.
That's the problem with fielders, Bruce. They've got like 3 or 4 guys you can play in your second pairing, but they need a guy who can really, and that's the hard player to get.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce, thanks for talking.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.